What's up, guys? It's CJax back with another video, and today I am finally going to be reviewing the Flash movie. Now, I've been hyping up this movie for years now and really been excited for it, and I kind of held it to a high standard. I was going in expecting a movie that was going to be very great, and I'm happy to say that I got that, and I got it tenfold, man. I had an amazing time watching this. I had a smile on my face from start to finish. It was just a very, very fun time for me, and I had a great time with the story and the characters and everything along those lines. So I don't even know if I want to do a formulated review. I just want to really talk about this movie and how much I liked it. So without further ado, let's get into the spoiler review for The Flash. Now, obviously, this movie's been through a lot. We all know the stuff that's gone down with DC and Warner Bros. And reshuffling, rebooting, Ezra Miller, of course, everything that's going on with him and all the allegations. But going into this film, from the moment that I started watching, right, you get immediately, they're jumping right into the action. Barry's running into Gotham City to help out Batman take down these thugs. And from that moment on, he's saving babies and stuff. The first 20 minutes of this film are brilliant. And I mean genuinely brilliant. It feels like a connected universe. You're having fun with these characters. All the action is really epic. The scores that are being used, the introduction to Ben Affleck's Batman. Oh my gosh, man. And firstly, I did want to talk about those first 20 minutes, which I got that out of the way, but now we can talk about the main topic of discussion, Ezra Miller's Flash in this movie. We all know what people have been saying about Ezra Miller and what he's done or allegedly done or whatever, but in this film, he was amazing, playing the younger and the older Barry Allen, and even playing Dark Flash, who's introduced later down the line in the movie, and we see, snippets of him throughout. It was just, he did a phenomenal job. The inner pain and the awkwardness of Barry Allen and the interactions with others and the emotion that he brings to it and the charisma as well with the younger Barry and all the humor that comes with that, which is great. The scene where Barry's running around without his powers and he thinks he's fast, but he's not. It was just, yeah, that was really good. And, throughout the entire movie, we see Barry he has to let go of what's happening with his mom. Because in this movie, spoiler alert, if you didn't already know this, he's going back in time to save his mom from dying. So does he think it's going to fix everything, right? But it really doesn't. And it has adverse effects on the timeline. And he realized he has to go back and fix that problem. And early in this movie, his mom tells him, it's like a flashback to when he was younger. She's like, some problems are just unfixable. And you have to deal with it and grow from those issues, And I feel like Barry in this film, he lets go of the past and walks into the future. And with the younger Barry edition, which was really good, he realizes the flaws in himself and the flaws in what he used to be. The abrasiveness, the arrogance, the selfishness, the lack of maturity, things of that nature. He realizes how much he's grown up until this point and how much more he has to do to grow as a human being and as a hero. It's a beautiful arc, and it's honestly very emotional at times. That scene where he's returning that tomato can at the end is just, oh, man, that was really sad, and it was just beautifully done. But yes, Ezra Miller's amazing in this. The story is great. Everything along those lines is brilliant. And next, I guess it's perfect to talk about the next main character, Batman, or the Batmen in this movie. First off, I'll talk with Ben Affleck because he's only in it for about 10, 15 minutes. He was awesome in this movie. The minute, his introduction where he's coming out of the ship, like I said, it was just brilliant, bro. And then he gets this scene with Barry where he's talking to him about how your past scars don't define you and how you can grow from them. And he reminds Barry that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're perfect, man. You're great. You're a hero. And I thought that scene was just so good. And it coming from Ben Affleck, who, hasn't had a lot of movies in the DCEU, I thought made it hit that much harder. And the Bruce and Barry interactions in this film are just brilliant. You get Michael Keaton returning as Batman. I mean, his score was great. The action scenes he gets, all the times where he's using his gadgets, and it's kind of old school, so it's fun to watch. He's had to put a little jet machine on the bottom of an elevator so they can get out the way. It's just, dude, this movie is so entertaining, man. It's incredible. And we also get to see how Michael Keaton is inspired by Barry to come out of his shell again and be that hero, be that Batman that he once was. It was really nice to see him. Michael Keaton gives a great performance. You can tell he's having a lot of fun with this movie. And on top of that, the interactions again with his Bruce and with Ezra's Barry Allen, it's just very, very brilliant to see. He talks to Barry about, yeah, I lost my parents and I tried to fill that void by, stopping crime and doing all this other things, but it really doesn't, change what actually happened. And sometimes it's necessary to fail, and it's necessary to have that feeling of grief and loss because it helps shape who you are. That theme of what grief means and what failure means is very, very prevalent in this movie, and I think they do a great job of hashing that out and really developing it. Another reason I think those themes work is because us as audience, we've all had experiences experiences with failure and with loss of a loved one or just losing something else. Heck, I didn't make the basketball team 3 times in a row. And, I recently, my TikTok account that I've been grinding, I got banned and stuff like that. But all that work, it goes in and it's just gone. But sometimes you have to lose and you have to have those setbacks in order to know what it really feels like to win and to have that pain and know how important that is for you to grow from it. So very, very nice story and themes. Just wanted to quickly add that in there.
And I also appreciate how unique and interesting this movie is, in the sense that Barry in this movie is basically the main hero and the main villain. All of his choices predicate what happens in this film. The only other superhero movie I can remember doing that is my favorite ever, which is Spider-Man 3, in which Peter is the main hero, but all the choices he makes leads to everything that goes on. So he's essentially the villain as well. He leads to Harry going down that villainous path, but ultimately becoming a hero. Him losing the relationships around himself. The choices he makes, basically causing Eddie Brock to become Venom and to have hatred towards Peter. It's all on him. It's a way to keep the story connected while also keeping it emotional, and it's just very well written. Sam Raimi's a great director, and so is Andy Muschietti. Another thing I appreciate about this movie that's special is the fact that it's unique from a lot of other superhero movies nowadays. Like in Multiverse of Madness, they're just chasing after the Darkhold, an object. In Thor: Love and Thunder, they're chasing after a Stormbreaker, etc. It's the same thing in a lot of these movies nowadays.
Because this is the world where my mom lives.
This is a true
I'm not going to lose her again.
And focusing in on the character of Barry Allen / The Flash. And when it says in the title, The Flash, it's actually focused on him. It's not one of those products that tells you somebody's name in the title, but doesn't actually develop upon that character. And on top of that, the opening of this movie, like I already mentioned, it's special. We don't get to see these heroes actually interacting and bonding with each other while saving the day, doing something as simple as stopping some robbers and some thugs. This movie is special from start to finish, and it deserves to be praised for being interesting and being different. When you go to these different universes, different timelines, you see the slight differences, and it's cool to watch. It's entertaining for once. A super movie that actually did something different, changed the mold, and actually broke through and made something that was great and special.
Then you have the others in this movie, like Supergirl, played by Sasha Calle. Sasha Calle does deliver a solid performance. I don't think that this character was anything overwhelmingly great or amazing. She is being touted to be like that by some people, but she's really not all of that. But she is cool. There's some interesting stuff involving her lore and the Kryptonian lore and how she got to Earth and how Kal-El died as a baby in this, in this world. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Zod, Michael Shannon gives a good performance, but he's kind of phoning it in for a check. I mean, he doesn't do a lot in this movie. Same with all the other Kryptonians like Feora Ul and, Nam Ek and all those others. Like, it's kind of like whatever. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? But overall, the side characters are pretty fun. The Kryptonian stuff is cool. The action scenes are pretty sick at parts, but in other parts, they're kind of underwhelming. But for the most part, it worked. It definitely worked for the movie. It wasn't anything special, but all the Kryptonian stuff, it works. Dark Flash was sick in this movie, bro. He wasn't in it for a lot. He was like 5 minutes, but Dark Flash, he was basically the younger Barry who kept on trying to redo time and stuff like that, and then he turned into Dark Flash. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And honestly, the visuals for him look sick. The purple lightning was really cool. And the first scene where he's jumping down from like the Speed Force and then punches Barry in the face was epic. I wish they would have had a speedster fight between those two, but at the end of the day, he was cool to be in the movie. He was just there to show the dark path that Barry would have gone down if he kept on, trying to reset time and wasn't letting go of what happened with his mother. So that was pretty much that. And then as for the other stuff in this movie, I guess firstly I'll talk about the VFX and the CGI, because I'm not gonna lie, some of the stuff in here was awful. Like, awful looking. The way Barry's body was moving at points with the running, and you also had the scene where he's peering through. It kind of looked like Thor: Love and Thunder, that one scene with that little kid, dude. That was, yeah, not gonna lie, that was kind of embarrassing. The Speed Force, there are some cameos in the movie, which are pretty sick, some of them, but I was kind of underwhelmed by the cameo aspect of this movie, to be honest with you guys. I don't know why they didn't put Grant Gustin in the movie. Henry Cavill's Superman, I mean, there's a little snippet to him when he's CGI, but it's really not that much. You could have even put Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, stuff like that. The only really cool cameo in this was Christopher Reeve Superman and Nicolas Cage Superman. Everything else was kind of just like whatever. You know what I mean? And they had Jay Garrick from the CW, but it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? Like, we needed something more. You know what I mean? So the cameo and the wow factor was kind of missing in comparison to the Flashpoint, comic run, and even the Paradox movie, in terms of the cameos and the whole like grand spectacle. I feel like they could have developed a little bit more on the spectacle of the third act of this film and all the cameos and things of that nature. And the ending, of course, which we'll talk about, Yeah, that George Clooney garbage was ridiculous. But I guess, I mean, DC, Warner Bros., James Gunn, they came in and cut a bunch of scenes out of this movie, like the Henry Cavill Speed Force cameo, and, Ben Affleck's Batman was going to get a post-credit scene, things of that nature. And so they don't really know what they're going to do with the universe. They say they're doing a reboot, but this movie leaves an open ending, and I don't really like that. So those are kind of some of my flaws with the movie. And at certain points, you kind of do get lost in the story in a way that, like, you forget what's going on because there's so much else going on. But that only happens a little bit, so it's really not that big of a deal. And even though I did mention that the VFX were bad at certain points, there was also moments where it was absolutely amazing. The scene where he's getting struck by lightning, where Barry's getting struck by lightning to get his powers back, and you even have this scene where Supergirl's flying him up into the clouds, and even opening parts of the movie with the action, the way that the Speed Force looks. The action in Speed Force in this movie is very good, and it's also very innovative and unique. They have like a time bubble, and there's like a basketball arena around full of memories and different days that you can travel to. It's very, very good, and it looks phenomenal, to be honest with you. And on top of that, the action, like I said, is very innovative. You have Barry, he's basically doing like a Quicksilver type scene in X-Men Apocalypse where he's going around and saving babies, but he's stopping for like 30 seconds to a minute. He gets food midway to get the energy back up and saves them. Just shows you how fast the Flash really is. And the phasing in this movie looks really, really good. The different use of powers, like the tornadoes he's making and stuff. And, you have Supergirl. She had her fight with Zod. That was really cool. A lot of the action, even the stuff with Keaton, first of all, that scene where they're infiltrating the military base in Russia and he's just knocking dudes out left and right. Wow. I don't know who that stunt double was, but that dude was putting in some work. Goodness gracious. And lastly, I do want to talk about the extremely well-balanced tones in this movie. You have extremely funny and hilarious scenes, like I mentioned. You have really, really sad moments. You have serious scenes. And then you have scenes where Barry's just being himself and he's being awkward. And all that stuff, none of the tones ever conflict with each other. You don't get a really serious and emotional moment and they get a stupid joke while it's happening or right after it. This movie, amongst all the random super movies that are coming out nowadays, where we're all complaining about the comedy and stuff like that, this film gives you good comedy, good emotion, good serious stuff, etc., and it balances it all perfectly, while also the movie's very, very well paced. It keeps going and going and going, and you're entertained, you're intrigued, and you're hooked as to what's happening, and you always stay entertained, man. Like I said, I had a smile on my face the whole time. It's just, yeah, very, very well done by the director, man. And so overall, I had an absolute blast with this movie, and the more I think about it, the more I like a lot of elements about it, but I also think about that ending more, and I dislike it even more, but I had a great time watching it. It's got an amazing story, great emotion, great themes, good characters, good performances. It's got unique use of action and, Flash's powers and stuff. There are the issues with the ending being absolutely stupid and leaving us with more questions than answers. The cameos in the whole Flashpoint wow factor is just not there at times. And on top of that, you do see those mediocre and bad VFX at certain points. But it was a great time. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Had an absolutely phenomenal time watching it. And I'm so glad that I hyped this movie up and ended up living up to my expectations for the most part. So that was pretty awesome. As always, if you guys have seen the movie, let me know what you thought about it in the comment sections below. Like I said, I had an awesome time. And so as always, I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and make sure to give your mom a hug today, man, because I gave my mom a hug as soon as I came back home from the theater. So hope you guys have an amazing day. And as always, peace out.